Ron McCall got a new sewage treatment plant and stopped dumping as much stuff in the river. And number two, the ag business out in the valley has gone more and more to sprinkler irrigation from flood irrigation that used to flush a lot of stuff from the reservoir. So the nutrients in the reservoir were ameliorated a little bit. And the fishing has picked back up somewhat. The fishing game tried to stock yellow perch from Lost Valley Reservoir back into Cascade, and they've continued to stock a lot of rainbow trout in there, but it's still a long ways from where it was historically, because in the fall you used to be able to go down along the shorelines of the reservoir and literally see millions of yellow perch about an inch to 2 inches long, and you still don't find those. There are a few bigger perch down there, and there are a few more trout since the water quality conditions have improved a little bit, but it's still a long, long ways from where it was, and I'm not sure anybody knows what the long-term solution is down there.
Is perch non-native?
Yellow perch are non-native here. They were native back east. Somebody decided that we need to have one here because they taste good. So, very early in the history of Idaho, they brought a lot of species like yellow perch, bass, catfish, brook trout, and then not only the state was involved, but before Idaho Fish and Game existed, the federal government thought some of that was a good idea, and the old U.S. Fish Commission brought railroad trains full of all kinds of strange things out. Kind of dumped them willy-nilly wherever they thought it'd be a good idea. Now we got what we got.
Yeah. And just another thing I followed, maybe on the squawfish. I always read in the paper it was the squawfish was the culprit at Cascade Reservoir, that it was eating the fish eggs or something like that.
Well, they do. The squawfish are what Caleb called the northern pike minnow up there. And they are actually a native species here. They only exist in large numbers in Cascade Reservoir because of the reservoir. They existed in fairly small numbers naturally because the habitat just isn't there to support them. And they eat a lot of fish, but Fish and Game has been very aggressive at road milling or poisoning down near Smiley or Hartsel Bridge for almost a decade. And there are not nearly as many in the river, at least as there were historically. Historically, when my kids were little, we could go down there in the spring and see 30 to 60,000 at a time. And there were fish that ran between 2 and 6 pounds apiece. And we used to catch a lot of them and smoke them, but now it's rare if you go down to the Sheep Bridge area in the spring that you can actually see spawning squawfish. So they've reduced the numbers of them by quite a lot.
I get a question. When we're kayaking on the river above the lake in the summer, and you mentioned the sucker fish and the opening, how come there aren't more fish? Probably as simple, but how come we don't see more? I mean, it's usually nothing there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because it's pretty low nutrients. Is my guess. You have any thoughts?
Well, the river above the lake is almost like sterilized water. It's really, really low in nutrients because of the geology it runs out of up there. And historically, there were probably a lot more fish. When Caleb mentioned that there were over 70,000 sockeye coming into the lake, you can imagine how many marine nutrients would have come into this area. And they spawned above the lake, and bears redistributed sockeye nutrients throughout the whole ecosystem up there. So historically, this lake was probably a lot more productive than it is now. Now it's not very productive at all. And of course, there isn't a mechanism for redistribution of nutrients like there was historically when the tribes used to camp here, fish for salmon. There was a huge camp down where the sheep bridge is now. And the Nez Perce word for this valley is land of the grizzly bear, because there were so many bears that were attracted to the sockeye here. There were a lot of bears here in the summer that would have redistributed nutrients.
Does the dam up there have much of an influence or not, just below Payette Lake, at the top of the river? Upper Payette Lake?
Well, it probably doesn't have any significant effect on the nutrient flow or distribution, but historically, there were probably bull trout distributed throughout the upper basin here. Caleb mentioned that there were bull trout in Lake Fork Creek, and over 30 years ago, we also had records of them in Fisher Creek. And that probably was kind of the end of their existence in this basin, because dams like the dam at Upper Payette Lake and the lake here and Cascade Reservoir would have all influenced the bull trout's ability to move to their spawning areas. And those big bull trout that Caleb showed you pictures of will typically move, they can move as far as 80 miles in a day to spawn. And when they get their spawning areas cut off, then those big guys just disappear. And we did some work on a bunch of basins around southern Idaho in terms of the number of sub-basins that had bull trout and the dates of dam construction. And the farther back in history the dates of the dam construction go, the fewer tributaries have bull trout in those basins throughout southern Idaho. So the dams have a real long-term effect on species like bull trout. Probably not so much on downstream nutrient flow.
Should I set up here?
Yeah, but I need to take a quick break.
Just stand up, stand up.
Pretty depressing where we are.
Any of this stuff, those things that start looking into, we always used to be till
To keep the July.
people, it's just changed everything. But
I have one question for you.
Hey,
Hey, so with the hatchery, salmon,
Wanted to know what it was?
they skipped that
Oh,
little
yeah.
thing over there.
It's true. But
Is that-
along with change.
Yeah.
Habits
Okay.
and ways.
Is that thing, is that actually kind of evolving away? Why would you just pick something that,
I think it was
you
just,
think it should work,
Well-
but don't they need it?
when I was in school, they basically
Sorry.
said that they didn't think it was needed for anything, it was like a relic of, it wasn't needed for anything, but since then, I've heard two things. One was just a